And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
I got several decks of Warlord in the mail, 12 of them to be exact. And I thought, oh come on, all these people know I'm not a big collectible card game fan. You know, I like them. In fact, it's kind of, I like to collect cards. And that's one of the reasons I stopped doing it, but I figured with 12 decks I better check it out. So I played it, and I played it, and I played it, and I played it again, and I played it again. And you know what, folks? Well, I don't get to play a lot of games too often because I have so many of them. So I play different games all the time. But I played Warlord a lot because it's just entertaining. To me, it is the way a collectible card game should be. Or at least it takes the genre and brings something new to it. Now, I know that Warlord is not a new game. That this is one of the newest additions to it. It's what the 4th edition of the game. So it's been out for a while, and so I completely missed the boat on this one. But this 4th edition is nice. It's not collectible. You simply buy these decks, and you can take them apart and mix up the decks if you want, which I have done. But you can play them against one another. Let me show you how the game works. I like it.
At this point in time, there are different factions involved in the game. We have the Chosen, which are some evil group that seemingly sacrifices people at the drop of a hat. We have the Free Kingdoms, which are the good guys, humans. We have the Devinorians, which are devils. Of course, we have undead, more bad guys. We have mercenaries who will fight for pretty much any army. We have the goblins, who are wicked, of course, and the dwarves, who in this game are good. And these are the different factions, and most of your cards in your deck, or a good third of the cards in your deck, will be characters. The rest of your deck will be filled up with special action cards and item cards. So you'll be building a deck or using one of the pre-built decks. The only other things that you will use will be, so you'll need some tokens for hit points. Now I tend to use flies. I just think that's thematic. And you'll need a 20-sided die to play. Now, each player, when they play the game, they choose a deck, and that deck has in it a Warlord. So let's look at this Warlord character, and we're going to focus up on the Warlord and take a little bit closer look at the stats of the Warlord. These are the stats of all characters. The numbers at the top here show the attack. When you attack someone else, you will roll a die, a 20-sided die. You will add the number of your attack. If you notice, this guy has 2 attacks. The first one adds 6, the second one adds 1. And you will compare that to the armor of the other player. So let's say this guy was attacking himself, for example, a 17. He would add 6 to his roll. 6 plus 9 is 15. That is not equal or greater than 17, so he would miss. On it, he could attack again. 15 plus 1 is 16. That's still not greater than 17, so he'd miss again. Obviously, he's hard to hit, but most people in the game are not quite so difficult to hit. As you can see, this lady here is a 13, and there's a lot of people who are 10s and 11s. Characters also have a level over here, which is in the number there, which is a 5, and that shape around it, for example, here you see a glove, the shape around it shows whether they're a wizard, a fighter, a knight, you know, what kind of character they are, and if it's white, that means they're good, and if it's black, it means they're evil. Then there's special abilities that the character has. Down here is how many hit points that character has before they die, and this plus number over here is if they ever have to make a save against something. And there's a few cards that say make a save versus magic or what have you. Then you would add that number to the save as you made it. The initial setup of the game will look like this. Each player picks 3 level 1 characters from their deck, 2 level 2s, and their Warlord, and places them in a triangular formation like this, facing one another, and getting ready to fight. You can pick any characters you want. After that, the rest of your deck is shuffled together, and players will draw 5 cards. And then each turn, players will take turns. First, they'll roll initiative to see who goes first, and then players will take one action, then another action, then another action. You'll have 5 cards in your hand. One of the actions you can do is bringing out a new character onto the board. And this is where I think this game is really interesting. If I have another level 1 character, I simply can play him in the front line like that. If I have a level 2 character, well, I'd play him in the second line. And a level 3 character, I could play him in the third line, and so on and so forth. But let's say, for example, I have another level 2 character. Well, I could bring him out. And then I have another level 2 character. Well, yay, but you know what? I can't bring him out, and here's why. Because each row is only allowed to have equal to or less than the row in front of it. So if I only have 3 level 1 characters out here in the front, I cannot have 4 level 2 characters. In fact, this will happen quite often during the course of the game because a level 1 character might get killed. At that point in time, one of the level 2 characters must immediately move to the front. And if there's not enough level 2 characters, then one of the level 3 characters, etc. So if you have, for example, a level 4, 5, or 6 character, you need to have enough cards back to be able to play them. It can be quite difficult to play a higher level character. So that's playing a character. You can also play equipment on a character. Here's the equipment, for example, a collapsing bow. It shows you who can use this equipment. This is a rogue. When I play this down, I can only put it on that character, and I add their rank, the rank that they're in. This is rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, to their level to see if they're able to hold it. So for example, this gentleman here is a level 2. He is in rank 2, so he's a 4. Unfortunately, that's not good enough to hold the collapsing bow. While this gentleman here in the third row, he's a 3, and he's in the third rank, so that's 6, so I can equip that bow on him. Characters can only have so many items equipped, but it is a useful thing. It makes them better. It'll add to their attack, give them special abilities, and so on and so forth. Players can also play special cards from their hand, as long as they have the right card to do it. Like Magic Shifting here, I can play this. It costs a 1 from a Magic user, and in my front row, I have a level 2 Magic user, so he can use that card. Then there's attacking. To attack someone, you just turn them sideways. I'm going to say tapping here for the rest of this review, because I can never remember, what it's called otherwise. But you tap cards to attack, and if you kill someone, they're off the board. Sometimes characters will get stunned, which is basically double tapped. And when you could also move characters from row to row. When you do that, though, they're tapped, just like if they were force moved up. And so you have to be very careful. It's when you have a really good character in the back and you want to use them in the front, that's all well and good, but they're going to be tapped as they move to the front, and they might die before they even get a chance to shoot. Some characters can shoot and have a range attack. They can shoot from this row to this row, or from this row to your enemy's row. Some characters can move into your enemy's row. There's a lot of special abilities I'm not going to get into in the course of this game, but the goal of the game is very simple. Kill your opponent's Warlord. That's all it is. If you kill your opponent's Warlord, you win the game, and you start up another game. Everything else is superfluous. Like I said, you have 5 cards in your hand. You keep doing actions until neither one of you can do actions. Then you draw back up to 5 cards. You continue to do so. And there's a lot of different smaller rules I didn't mention, but that's a basic gist of the game. So there you have it. I mean, I really am impressed with how this game works together. What I really like is the really powerful cards. Heroes, you can get them on the table, but it takes a lot of work, and then they have to run up to the front lines, and by the time they get to the front lines, the battle may be over, or they may be too wounded. While if you have a whole bunch of level 1s, you can quick throw all those out, but at the same time, they might get plastered. So you determine the best way to build your deck. There's no resources, you can put the card down, or you can't. And it's simple, and the moving of the characters around gives the game a very tactical feel. Now, because of this 20-sided die, there's a great deal of luck in the game. I can't argue that. Sometimes your characters are going to die when they shouldn't, or you seem to miss a lot of times. And it has a very strong Dungeons & Dragons setting to it. I mean, it's based in that universe. But I like it. I don't know what it is. I mean, I think I like a game that encourages strategy and tactical play, but yet still has some luck to it. It's a lot of fun. I don't mind the pre-constructed decks. I think there's a good difference between the armies. Some armies are fast, and other armies have a lot of range, and other armies are just, have a lot of brutes in them that come up and fight powerfully. The decks seem a little balanced, although each deck comes with a few mercenary cards, and sometimes those mercenary cards don't seem to match the deck. It's like they just threw in 5 random cards. But no matter, because like I said, you can customize it as much as you want. The rules are very simple and easy to play. It comes with a starter set with 2 decks, a mercenary deck and a chosen deck, or undead deck, I think. And it explains very clearly how to play the game. In fact, it tells you, step-by-step instructions. I like it, and I hope it lasts longer. I like to get more decks. It's a lot of fun to play.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.